From the Network Operations Center of QYB Radio Network, welcome to Tech Talk, the show where we turn geek speak into everyday language. Have a question? Send us email at techtalk@qybnetwork.com. Now, without further translation, here is your host of Tech Talk, Chief Linguist Joel Mahalik.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Live. My name is Joel Mahalik, welcoming you here and thanking you for joining the program, the podcast, which, by the way, means that there's a little course correction we should make in that, yes, I called it Tech Talk Live because that's the name of the show. And then I said, thanks for joining the podcast. Well, that's the thing. It's now a podcast where it used to air live. So we sort of reversed the stream, if you will, and now it's a podcast that will be presented on syndicated radio stations, but it's live for me. I mean, I'm here, I'm live in my studio, and I'm doing the show, and it's live. Right now, it's live for me, but when it reaches you, it won't be live. It'll just be Tech Talk. And maybe that's something we change in the future. Maybe I call it Tech Talk and drop the live. But for right now, welcome to Tech Talk Live, and thanks. We have been going on a little bit of a hiatus. But, you know, with the way the world of technology just grows and grows, and as somebody that works in the technology field every day, I'm the first one that will tell you that I think we're growing too fast. It's just getting way beyond what we should be doing. I feel it's too much too soon or too much too fast, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, folks, we have a car that is being, a self-driving car being tested. And, you know, I think when you reach the point where you feel that you need technology to drive your car for you, I view that as a potential problem in society, and I think that's where, you know, I'm coming from when I say, hey, too much, too far. This is way too much technology, and we're doing it too fast. We need to calm down a little bit. I'm awfully glad that I grew up in a generation where there was very little technology. I feel like I had maybe a better upbringing. I was able to use my imagination, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of kids and teens and tweens, is that what they call them now, tweens, don't get to do, is use their imagination a whole lot. But anyway, so welcome. Thanks for being here and joining me, because the man that on the other end of this that works equally as hard putting it together for your listening pleasure, Mr. Tony Richards from Reality One Radio and Thunder Lake Studios. A big thanks to him. But tonight, you know, because we've been on hiatus, and as I was alluding to how technology has become just too much. Hacking and ransomware and things like that becoming a very big thing. In upcoming shows, podcasts, we'll be doing a two-part series on ransomware, so watch out for that. But one of the things I want to talk about, which I'm actually presenting seminars this week, on this, cybersecurity seminars, but the entire seminar is geared to the human factor. And so I wanted to talk about the human factor when it comes to cybersecurity and what that means. And you know, we've talked about this in like bits and pieces related to different scams and viruses and Trojans, and we always, you know, we used to do this podcast. We used to start off and spend 15 minutes every podcast just going over like the latest scams that were coming out by the day, by the hour, by the minutes. It wasn't even easy to keep up with that, but we take a step back now, and I want to take a proactive stance for the first few minutes of the program and talk about the human factor. That's you, that's me. That's the human factor in cybersecurity. What are you doing? What your behavior online leads to? And that comes in conjunction with a lot of different things. Social engineering, we talked about that, where ways that people try to social engineer information out of you in a goal to steal your identity. Whether it be a tricky email, a tricky text message, even seeing text messages now, trying to extract information from you by tricking you into doing something. So whether it be a telephone scam phone call, an email, a text message, a fax, or anything like that, even to the point where some hackers will follow you around to get to know you so they can steal your identity and get to know your habits. Of all these things, the human factor plays in. Number one, how is it that you react? Because how you react to these circumstances will make or break what the end result is of these circumstances. You see, if I click that link in that email, that link could put different programs on my computer. Keyloggers, looking at all the text I type, or some sort of Trojan horse that would crawl through my system and look for personal information. And how they do it is interesting. And how they do it is what entices we as humans to go, oh yeah, I have to click that. I have to open this. Because they try to trick you with, oh, your package arrived. Click the attachment to look at your shipping receipt. Click here to confirm your IRS refund. United States Postal Service confirmation of delivery. Even so far as in the corporate world, ADP, payroll report. Think of these names they use. FedEx, UPS, ADP, IRS. They use these big names because they're counting on a percentage of people, the human factor, that are expecting a package. They're expecting a refund. The IRS phone scams where they call and they scare the bejesus out of you to pay money. They're hoping that a small contingent of people owe money or are in some sort of default trouble with the IRS. And then all of a sudden they get a phone call that just seems unworldly. Microsoft, something's wrong with your computer. Call this 866 number. Microsoft doesn't know if you have something wrong with your computer unless you initiate a call to Microsoft Tech Support. But don't initiate a call to Microsoft Tech Support based on a pop-up that shows up on your screen. The human factor. You click that. You open that. You pick up the phone and someone begins to social engineer you. And if you don't think quick enough and you get into some sort of exchange, they only need a second to pull you in. The human factor. Just a second to pull you in. And then it's all double talk and gibberish. And they're counting on you being part of that percentage of people who, for one reason or another, will stay on that call and listen. They count on that. That's what they do. And it is a multi-billion-dollar business. A multi-billion-dollar business. So when you think of it, when you think in the sheer numbers of the money being made, being generated by these cyber criminals, and think to yourself, some people would say, well, how could you fall for that? Well, that's the thing. They use perceived reality. Big names, big company names, fake websites that look like the real thing. Whatever they can do to entice you to believe that they are who they are. If they can trick you into opening that email then they get something on your system. That's how ransomware is delivered. It's delivered through an email attachment. And ransomware is something you don't ever want. That's how they do it. And the human factor comes into play because how am I going to react to that? It's easy to point the finger and say that person shouldn't have been affected by that because it's just common sense that the IRS isn't going to call you out of the blue and say you owe money. To you, it might be common sense. But to these hackers, there is a contingent, there's a percentage of people who buy into that. Yes, everyone should be aware, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make you aware. You're listening to the podcast, maybe you're aware. And maybe you can share the information I give with somebody else who maybe is not aware. Hey, it's tax season. IRS scams are up 20-fold. Let people know. But that human factor, in every data breach in every company, in most, if not all cases of identity theft, it started with someone being socially engineered. Somebody, and in a lot of corporate breaches, the person who was socially engineered successfully enough for the hacker to do what they had to do, most times, over 70% of the time, turns out to be, guess what? A system admin. Yes, the very people there to protect you make the same mistakes. The human factor. Taking that phone call. How are you going to react to that phone call? Social engineering. It's a bad word. Human factor is what we need to pay attention about because we're the first line of defense in almost every case. You and I, first line of defense. What you decide to do will determine the fate and the severity of the problem. You know, you get a phone call or an email about a wire transfer well, it looks like my boss's email, but is it? Is it? Human factor. Big thing in cybersecurity. And I want to pass that information along, and I hope it takes value to you because it will help you. Common sense and human factor. Just remembering that you're the first line of your own defense will help you at home control the situation. So, there it is, human factor. This is Tech Talk Live. I'm going to take a really quick break in the podcast here. When I come back, I'm going to talk about Amazon Prime and some of there's new options with Amazon Prime, which we are going to find out about on the other side of this quick break, so don't go anywhere. I'm Joel Mahalik. This is Tech Talk Live. We'll be right back.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
Welcome back to Tech Talk Live right here. I'm Joel Mahalik on the QYB Radio Network. Thanks for stopping back. Thanks for staying around. Tonight on the program, covered human factor, any questions, you can always drop us a line. Listen, you can find us at Facebook. Just look up Tech Talk Live. Look for my ugly mug. I'll be right there. Also, you can also find us. You can drop me an email at techtalk@qibradionetwork.com, and we can get back to you there as well. Any questions? I'd love to answer questions. And also, if you stop by the Facebook, and I hope you do, I want you to stop by the Facebook page and then take our survey. We got a survey running there right now, and get your responses. And we'll put it out on a future podcast. We'll keep the surveys going, so stop by there and let us know what you think. The answers to that question, and I believe it has to do with comics. Huh? How about that? Okay. Anyway, back to the program, as they say. Amazon Prime. I want to talk about that tonight before we get out of here on the podcast. The future, and this is sad for cable companies, right now, at the time the podcast is being recorded, because this could change tomorrow. This could change theoretically before the podcast even gets released. But at the time of this podcast being recorded, Verizon is on what they call a work stoppage, which is a fancy way, I guess, of saying they're on strike. And that, believe me, for somebody who works in technology all day and has to deal with Verizon contracts and telephone, this is a nightmare for me, because you can't get a hold of anybody to help you. So, and I actually today, again, as of the recording of this podcast, is having a conversation with people at Comcast, and we're talking for a moment about the work stoppage. And what I found surprising, which I didn't know, is that they said that's something that wouldn't normally happen with us, because they don't have union workers, technicians and whatnot. They're not union workers at Comcast. They said sometimes they do subcontract some of the engineering work or technical work, and it does go to companies that are union companies, but Comcast themselves do not have union labor, which I thought was interesting. But where am I going with this, right? Get to the point already, Joel. What I'm getting to is the fact that I think there's an end life coming for cable companies, and part of the reason is because their channel lineups are just absolutely horrible. It's like, here's the basic tier that you can afford, sir. But if you want some really nice channels, then you got to pay some more. And then if you want the really cool channels, then you got to pay some more. Oh, I'm sorry, you want to watch some sports? Well, that's in this tier. And they do all this tier pricing. And I think that the end is near for the cable companies. Like, I feel like I want to be out on the street right now with a sign over my head, one of those big billboard signs ringing the bell saying, bring out your dead, bring out your dead, the end is near. Because of things like Hulu and Netflix. And, MLB and NFL, they all have these packages where you can buy a subscription for the year and watch not only your favorite team, but basically all the teams. I mean, look at the MLB package for Major League Baseball. You buy into that subscription, and I'm not saying it's affordable, but is it? I mean, take someone like me, for example. I like to watch movies. Hardly ever watch network TV. If I want to get the news, I get my technology news from technology news websites, and then when I want to get some news, well, that's a whole different topic, and it's hard to get real, whatever. I go to news websites. Or certain websites, NPR, just my favorites. And they may not be your favorites, but it's where I get my news. So I don't watch the news on TV so much anymore. I don't watch network TV almost at all. So, I could take a Netflix and a Hulu and spend about $20 a month there. I have my internet connection. And then, if I wanted to, I could buy the MLB package and watch every single game, on my computer, on my iPhone, on some device, on a streamer, on a smart TV, and if I don't need 1,500 channels on the cable, then I'm the perfect candidate to say, well, I'm going to lower my bill. Now I'm not going to pay $170 for that cable package. I'll pay the $60 for internet. And I'll buy into a couple streaming services that suit my particular limited needs, and then I'm set. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, first of all, Amazon Prime Video is what I want to talk about. Amazon Prime is a package. It's $99 a year. You get free shipping on most of your stuff. You get faster shipping on most of your stuff. And you know what they started doing a couple years ago is they started going into competition a little bit with Netflix. Well, now we have a video service that if you buy the Amazon Prime account, you get the video account, which gives you a lot of stuff for free, or they give you a lot of stuff for discounted on-demand rates. And you can watch it on your laptop, your device, phone, iPad, smart TV, streamer service, right? Well, what they've done now, something new, Amazon Prime Video, is now coming out on its own. And now you don't necessarily have to buy a subscription to Amazon Prime to get the Amazon Video. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to. Amazon Prime for $99 a year, you get free shipping on all this stuff. I mean, and it really pays off if you're an Amazon shopper. Maybe you're not. And if you're not an Amazon shopper, then fine. Then you can now buy the Prime Video and watch and have the same great benefits for, I think it's $10.99 per month. But, the thing is, for $99 a year, if you're going to get the Prime Video, you can spend $99 a year, have the whole Prime account. Maybe you start shopping at Amazon. I mean, they do have some really good deals. I'm not here plugging Amazon. That's not what I'm here doing. I'm just saying, if you're looking for another option and you weren't aware of the fact that Amazon Prime Video now is an additional alternative like Hulu Plus, or Netflix, these different streaming places. And, these Hulu, Netflix, they're all coming out with some great original series. So, that have great ratings. It amazes me, folks. It amazes me the ratings that some of these shows have on these streaming services. Or, over above what's on network television. Think about this for a second. For all the geeks in the house, like me that like Star Trek. The new Star Trek series that CBS is putting together, they're going to show the pilot on CBS television. And it must have to gonna be, yeah, I know I just messed that all up, but just hear me out. It must have to gonna be one hell of a pilot. Because after the pilot, you've got to spend $5 a month to get CBS streaming on demand to watch that series. So what a market employee that is. All the Star Trek fans in the world are going to tune in. You're going to have these blowout ratings for one night, and then you're going to leave them no alternative than to fork over $5 a month, if only, but to watch this series. That may not be how it pans out, but when you look at that situation, folks, how else can it pan out? It is a marketing accomplishment like none other that I've ever seen that they're doing with this Star Trek reboot. And I think it's next year, actually. We'll get the dates, on another podcast. But Amazon Prime now, again, the online retailer, streaming video service, now available in a standalone option. And what they're doing is they're doing it for like $8.99 per month. Okay, so you can with what they're doing with that, I'm getting all tongue tied. I'm trying to watch the clock and everything, but the way this is panning out is you can now get Prime monthly for $10.99 a month. So think about that. As I was saying earlier, $10.99 a month. If you're like, you know what? Maybe I do want to start shopping at Amazon. Maybe I looked at the prices. I like $10.99 a month. Just pay for the whole year at $99. I mean, I'm a cheapskate, folks, and I pay the $99 a year. And I shop a couple times there a year, especially at the holidays. I get my free shipping. And now I have Amazon streaming part of the package. So I get to watch that. Have I cut the cable cord yet? No. I'm not the only one in the house. I described for you my television watching habits. I mean, listen, you're interrupting a good game of World of Warships right now, but we won't get into that in this podcast either. Maybe another episode. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I'm not there yet. I'd like to be. I think that collectively, I think the members of my household probably could do that. I see most of them watching everything on the computer right now. Why do we have this cable television? The cable television subscription. We could cut that cord. And that's where I see an end game. I see an end game. I see the light dimming at the end of the tunnel for cable television. And they're going to kill themselves because they don't give you options that suit you. They don't let you do a la carte packages. So I can take an a la carte package by buying, well, I'm a big fan of baseball, and I can listen to, the Philadelphia Eagles on the radio. So I could take an MLB package. I got my Hulu, I got my Netflix, I got my Amazon Prime. What else do I need? And these are the kinds of decisions that households are making in these economic times. And that's where I think the end is near. So you can check it out, Hulu Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video now on its own. If you want, $8.99 a month. They're putting it out at $8.99 a month because Hulu and Netflix are $9.99 a month. So you see what they're doing there? That's what they're doing. They're bringing it down $1. They're going to flood the market with this. They're going to get some real good saturation on this plan. Whether you have Prime or not, you may buy into the Prime Video if you're looking for those kinds of alternatives. And there's a lot of good stuff on the Amazon Prime. But there you have it. So you can check it out at Amazon.com for more details like that. And of course, they'll have information on pricing and what the differences are between Amazon Prime and Amazon Prime Video. But that is really the wrap here on the Tech Talk Live podcast. And I'm Joel Mahalik. And stop by and see me on Facebook. Just look for Tech Talk Live. Look for my ugly mug. It's right there, top of the page. And say hi. And you can download the podcast, put it on a CD, put it on a stick, do whatever you want, put it on your computer. Pass it out to your friends. Pass this valuable information. Remember, the human factor is very important in preventing or helping to prevent you becoming infected on your computer or being socially engineered. So remember that, folks. And we'll be looking forward to you joining us for more podcasts upcoming later on. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you next time.
You have been interfacing with Tech Talk, a weekly presentation of the QYB Radio Network. To contact the show, send us email at techtalk@QYBradionetwork.com. See you next week.